Back here at the Egypt Valley Country Club, I am joined by Calvin head cross country coach Nicole Kramer, who also heads up the distance crew with the track and field program. And you're getting ready to go to Rochester, New York this week. You'll be coaching one of your female athletes, Jenna Allman, who will be competing in the steeplechase for the second straight year at the national meet. You've gone to the nationals a handful of times to watch both, well, when you were a collegiate athlete and then also now as a coach. So what's it like to go to a track and field national meet first and foremost as a coach and just trying to prep your athletes and getting them ready to compete?
Sure. Well, nationals is always a really fun experience for coaches, but more importantly for athletes and the fans and the rest of the team that often travels as well. We have a pretty good group planning to make the trip this week as well. So it's just really exciting. I mean, you build the entire year with high goals with some of your athletes to try to make this meet, and just making the cut, especially with this kind of year, most competitive year ever in the history of D3 and other divisions as well. But it's a really hard meet to make. So we're super excited that Jenna and the other three are going to be competing.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking to you about Jenna Allman, who will be competing in her third national competition of the year, ran at the cross country nationals, which was a very snowy and cold national meet, not very far from here, over in Lansing.
Close. Very close.
And then she competed in the 3,000 meters indoors at nationals in March, and now will compete in the steeplechase. Just your thoughts on the steeplechase, because you ran that race. And when I was talking to Jenna this morning, she just said the nice thing is you can break it up into little segments. You don't have to do the long game mentally. You're focused on that next hurdle or barrier or the water pit or whatever that's coming up. And it just, in her mind, she said it allows her to relax a little bit rather than thinking about the whole long race out in front of her. What was that like for you as a runner in that event? And then how do you coach it up?
Yeah, it's such a fun event to coach and run, but you have to be a little bit crazy to do it because, it can be dangerous and, a little bit of adventure involved there. So, and some uncertainty that you don't always get with the flat track events. So, but I always like to, and I coach this way as well, tell the athletes to break it up into thirds. So it's 3,000 meters. You break it up into that first K, that second K, and the last K. So in that first portion, you're really trying to focus on being efficient, getting a good feel, making sure you have good positioning throughout. But number one, making sure your hurdles are clear and that you have nice and efficient barriers to set yourself up for the rest of the race.
Right,
so in the middle, it can get tough. That's when you got to start competing, making sure you're still staying smooth with the barriers, but definitely, still being aggressive and attacking, and then finishing with heart and trying to beat your competitors and stay on your feet, of course. But it's just a really fun event overall from start to finish. So a lot can happen. So it's one of my favorite events.
Absolutely. Well, you're from Wheaton, Illinois, but Calvin's kind of your second home, if you will. You graduated, I think, 2010. What's it been like to come back to your alma mater and to take over as a cross-country head coach? It's nice, I think, probably to have some familiar faces helping you out with the program, or at least people with Calvin ties. But, your first year, just your thoughts on how things have gone for you.
Yeah, this first year has been incredible. I think it's just been so fun and I think I've said before, kind of like a dream come true to be back at my alma mater. A lot of work to do, but a lot of we had a really exciting start, I think, both in the fall, winter, and spring. So, just excited to keep building on this momentum. And it takes a village too. I mean, just the previous coaches who were here at Calvin, as well as our current assistants and predominantly the athletes themselves, have been really great to work with and have just bought into, the whole vision for the cross-country track and field program moving forward.
Well, and moving forward, recruiting is always a big part of about that. And I know you were recruiting down in the state of Illinois this past weekend, and you'll probably be at some of the Michigan high school competitions coming up in a week or so. How do you go about the whole recruiting process now that, you are the head coach here at Calvin and, you're trying to hit spots here in Michigan, but also throughout the Midwest or even other places? Calvin does have a little bit of a national pull, doesn't it?
It definitely does. And just having, connections from fellow alums, from high school coaches, from previous places that I've coached as well. There's, a lot of potential on the recruiting side of things. Not only in Michigan, that's obviously the kind of the heartbeat of where we're trying to pull from, but Chicago area, I will always want to go back to my roots, be it all those state championship meets. And this past weekend was great too. Another super competitive meet for the state of Illinois. And we're getting some really good athletes from there for this upcoming year. But more importantly, we're just trying to build for that 2024 class. This is going to be a really huge year for us in kind of building. Where we're looking to be a pretty dominant class. So
Absolutely. Well, great to have you by here, and hey, safe travels up to Rochester, New York here this upcoming week at Nationals, and all the best up there.
thank you. Looking forward to it.
Okay, that's Calvin head cross country coach Nicole Kramer.